take a slow, deep breath in through your nose, hold it gently for just a moment, and let it all go. Let your shoulders drop away from your ears. Let your jaw soften. Let your hands uncurl and rest, loose and open, at your sides. There is absolutely nothing you need to do right now. Nowhere you have to be, no task waiting, no alarm worth worrying about. In this moment, the only thing that matters is the sound of my voice and the slow, steady rhythm of your own breathing. I'm going to take you somewhere tonight, somewhere quiet, somewhere so still and so beautiful that the moment we arrive, you'll feel the last threads of the day simply drift away from you, like smoke curling upward on a windless evening and disappearing into a wide, dark sky. So let's begin. Let's go together. Follow me. Close your eyes if you haven't already. And breathe. Part 1. The Road Through the Pines. Imagine that you are sitting in the passenger seat of a car. It is evening, that quiet violet hour when the sky hasn't fully decided between dusk and night. The road ahead of you is 2 narrow lanes, winding gently through a dense forest of pine trees so tall and so close together that their branches reach across the road and lace together overhead, forming a long, living tunnel of deep green and shadow. The headlights cast a soft amber glow on the pavement. The road is completely empty. There are no other cars. There is no traffic, no horns, no sirens. Only the gentle sound of tires on smooth asphalt, a low and steady rhythm, almost like breathing, like the earth itself, slowly exhaling. Outside your window, the trees move past in slow succession. Each one is ancient, its bark rough and deeply grooved, wearing a shaggy coat of dark lichen and pale gray moss. In the spaces between the trunks, the forest floor is soft with fallen needles, a thick rust-colored carpet. Here and there, you can just make out the pale white forms of birch trees standing among the pines like quiet sentinels, their bark glowing faintly in the last of the fading light. The air coming in through the slightly cracked window is cool. Not cold, but pleasantly, deliciously cool, and it carries the scent of pine resin and damp earth, the smell of a place that has been growing and breathing and existing in its own unhurried way for hundreds of years. You breathe it in deeply, and your chest expands, and something in you relaxes that you didn't even realize was tight. The road curves gently to the left, then to the right, following the natural contour of the land. There's something wonderfully passive about being a passenger. You don't have to navigate. You don't have to watch the road. You can simply exist in the moving space of this car, wrapped in the hum of the engine, cradled in your seat, watching the forest slip past in the soft amber light. You notice a small wooden sign at the roadside. Old, weathered, its letters cut deep into the grain of the wood and filled with faded white paint. It reads, Cedar Lake, 3 miles. And even before you fully register the words, something in your body responds. A quiet anticipation, a loosening, the sense of almost arriving somewhere you have been looking forward to for a long, long time. The trees thin slightly as you descend a gentle hill. Through a gap in the pines, you catch a first glimpse of the sky opening up, deep indigo now, scattered with the earliest stars. Just a handful at first, then a few more, then more still, appearing one by one like candles being lit in a distant window, each one a soft, steady point of silver-white light. You lean your head against the cool glass of the car window and look up through the trees at that opening sky, and you feel small in the best possible way, small and quiet and held by something vast and unhurried. The road levels out, and then there it is. The lake. Cedar Lake spreads out before you in the darkening evening, impossibly still, a mirror of polished obsidian, reflecting the first stars and the last faint blush of the western horizon, where a thin line of deep rose and amber lingers just above the tree line, the sky's final whisper before surrendering to night. The lake is larger than you expected, wide enough that the far shore is only a soft, dark smudge of pines and sky, a distant suggestion of land across all that glassy water. The car slows, turns onto a gravel path that winds along the lakeshore. The sound of the tires changes, from the smooth song of asphalt to the soft, satisfying crunch of loose pebbles, each one pressed gently underfoot as the car makes its unhurried way forward. Pine boughs brush the roof. A low branch slides across the windshield with a whispered sigh. And then the car stops. The engine falls quiet. In the silence that follows, the night sounds arrive. Softly, tentatively at first, then all at once. The steady pulse of crickets in the tall grass along the shore. The occasional low note of a bullfrog somewhere out across the water. The distant, mournful call of a loon echoing over the lake and fading into the trees on the far side. The sounds of a living, breathing wilderness that has been here all evening, patient and unhurried, waiting for you to stop and listen. You open the car door, step out. The gravel shifts softly beneath your feet. And there, just ahead, between the trees and the water, you see the cabin. Part 2. First sight of the glass cabin. It is unlike any cabin you have ever seen. The structure is small and low, a single room essentially, with a gently sloping roof and a wide covered porch that faces the lake. But what makes it extraordinary, what makes you stop walking and simply stand and look at it for a long moment, is the glass. Almost every wall is glass. Great panels of it, floor to ceiling, framed in dark timber, so that the cabin seems less like a built thing and more like a lantern. A warm, glowing amber lantern set among the pines at the edge of the dark water. From the inside, someone has left on a single lamp, and its warm light spills through the glass walls in long, honeyed rectangles, onto the grass and the gravel and the outstretched roots of the nearest pine tree. You can see through the glass into the interior. The low ceiling with its exposed dark beams, the stone fireplace on the far wall, the deep armchair angled toward it, a knitted blanket draped over one arm, a small wooden table with a single mug on it. Everything about it says, "Come in. Rest. You are expected. You are welcome. You are safe." You walk across the grass toward the porch. It is covered with a deep overhang, and someone has strung a line of small Edison bulbs along the roofline. They are on, glowing amber and warm, and they sway almost imperceptibly in the faintest of breezes, casting a gentle, golden light across the porch boards and the two wooden Adirondack chairs that face the lake. Between the chairs, a small side table holds a hurricane lantern with a candle inside, its flame standing perfectly still in the shelter of the glass. You set down what you're carrying. There's a low wooden bench beside the door, and you sit for a moment on it. The boards of the porch are smooth under your socked feet as you stand again, slightly cool, slightly uneven, the wood weathered and real beneath you, nothing pretending to be anything it isn't. You press down on the door handle, a simple iron latch, smooth with years of use, and the door opens inward with a soft, low creak. Just one note, the sound a door makes when it is old and well-loved and has been opened 10,000 times by people arriving home. You step inside. The warmth meets you first, not the aggressive heat of a too-hot room, but a gentle, enveloping warmth, the kind that wraps around you from all directions and lets your muscles unlock, lets your spine soften, lets your whole body remember that it doesn't have to brace against anything right now. The air smells of cedar and old books and something faintly sweet, maybe the remains of a fire from earlier in the day, the last ghost of wood smoke still hanging pleasantly in the air. The floor is wide plank wood, dark, warm, slightly worn in the paths that people walk most, from the door to the fireplace, from the fireplace to the kitchen corner, from the kitchen corner to the bed tucked along the far wall. Each plank is its own shade of amber and brown and honey, and the light from the single lamp makes them glow as if lit from within. You close the door behind you. Softly, the night sounds fade, muffled now by glass and wood, and what remains is a near-complete silence. Not the absence of sound exactly, but a quality of quiet so deep and so present that you can almost feel it against your skin, like something gentle pressing in from all sides, cushioning you. You breathe in, you breathe out. You are here, you have arrived, and you are going to be absolutely perfectly fine. Part 3. Settling in. You take a slow tour of the cabin, the way you do when you first arrive somewhere new, not rushing to settle in, but just allowing yourself to move through the space gently, touching things lightly, learning the room. The kitchen corner is compact and honest. A deep farmhouse sink under a glass panel that looks out into the dark pines, a two-burner stove, a shelf lined with mismatched mugs in every shade of cream and blue and sage green, a small wooden bowl holding 2 pine cones and a smooth lake stone, put there by someone for no reason other than that they were beautiful and deserved to be held and looked at. On the shelf above the mugs, someone has left a small selection of teas in a mason jar. You can see the colorful tags from here, fanned out like a little bouquet. Chamomile, peppermint, lavender and honey, sleepy time blend with a small bear on the tag. You smile at that last one. You think you might make a cup later, or maybe you'll just rest and let it be there, a quiet possibility. You move past the kitchen corner to the heart of the room, the fireplace. It is built of flat river stones, each one chosen for its shape and color, and stacked with care into a wall that goes all the way to the ceiling. The firebox is deep, and the hearth in front of it is a wide, smooth slab of gray-green slate that still holds a faint warmth from a fire burned hours ago. Beside the hearth, in a wrought iron stand, a bundle of kindling and a few split logs wait with quiet patience. The deep armchair sits to one side of the fireplace, angled just so, close enough to feel the heat when the fire is going, turned slightly toward the great glass wall, so that whoever sits in it can look out at the lake while the fire crackles at their back. The chair is covered in a deep, slightly faded rust-red fabric, worn soft with use, its cushions shaped to the long history of all the bodies that have settled into them before. The knitted blanket draped over one arm is thick and cream-colored, with a loose open weave that you can imagine pulling up over your lap on a cold night. You run your hand along the back of the chair as you pass. The fabric is nubby and warm under your palm. The bed is against the far wall, beneath one of the large glass panels, so that whoever sleeps here can look up through the glass at the sky, at the stars, at the pine boughs moving overhead. It is a simple iron frame bed painted black, with a headboard of gentle curves, and it is made up with layers of white and soft gray, a fitted sheet, a flat sheet, a heavy cotton quilt, and 2 fat pillows in crisp white cases. The quilt is older, faded from many washes to a gentle ivory, with a hand-stitched pattern of interlocking circles that you can just barely make out in the lamplight, a grandmother's pattern, full of patience and time. Beside the bed, a small nightstand holds a glass of water, a dog-eared paperback left face down by some previous guest, and a small ceramic lamp with a low-wattage bulb that fills the corner with a warm amber radius of light. On the floor beside the nightstand, someone has placed a pair of thick wool socks, the good kind, cable-knit deep navy, as if they knew exactly what you would want the moment you arrived. You sit on the edge of the bed. The mattress gives gently, evenly, welcoming your weight. The quilt is smooth and slightly cool under your hands. You can feel the exhaustion in your bones, the long, particular heaviness of a body that has been carrying a day and is now, finally, being given permission to set it down. You pick up the wool socks, put them on, and instantly your feet are warm. You lie back. The pillow receives your head with a soft compression, and the quilt settles over you as you pull it up, its weight distributed perfectly across your body, heavy enough to feel held, light enough to breathe in. The smell of the cabin is around you now, cedar and wood smoke and the faint clean sharpness of pine drifting in through the edges of the old windows. Through the glass panel above your bed, you look up at a rectangle of dark night sky, and there are stars. So many stars. The pine boughs frame the edges, swaying very slightly in a breeze you cannot feel inside, and the stars are steady and brilliant and silent. You feel the pillow beneath your head, the quilt above you, the warmth of your own body spreading slowly outward into the softness of the bed, and you let yourself begin to sink. Part 4. The fire. But first, a fire. Something in you wants the glow of it, the sound of it. So you ease yourself out of the bed and pad across the warm boards to the hearth, and you kneel on the slate and begin to build one. There is a stack of old newspapers in a basket beside the log stand. You take 2 sheets and crumple them loosely, the way your grandmother showed you, the way you've done 100 times and still find somehow satisfying. The paper giving way under your hands with a soft papery resistance, and then puffing open into a loose, light ball. You place the paper balls in the center of the firebox. Then the kindlings, small dry sticks, thin as fingers, broken into lengths and laid over the paper in a loose square, not packed too tight because fire needs room to breathe. A larger stick across those, and then once the foundation is built, Two of the split logs stacked at gentle angles against the back wall of the firebox, their cut ends facing forward, pale and resinous, still smelling faintly of the forest. You take the long matches from the ceramic jar on the mantel, strike one. The head flares a brief, sharp sulfur smell, and then settles into a smooth yellow flame that leans slightly in some current of air you can't detect. You hold it to the corner of one paper ball. The paper catches, the orange line racing along its edge, and then the first small tongue of flame rises up through the kindling. You watch it. This is one of the oldest human pleasures, watching a fire build. The kindling begins to crackle, quietly at first, then with more confidence. Small flames multiply and lean into each other. The larger stick catches with a soft pop, a brief ribbon of smoke, and then a steady golden flame. And then the logs begin to glow at their edges, and you can feel the heat pushing toward your face and hands, that particular warmth that is somehow warmer than any other warmth, because it is alive, because it moves, because it makes a sound. There is nothing in the world quite like it. The low crackle and spit of resinous pine, the deeper, slower tick and pop of hardwood settling, the soft hiss of a small pocket of moisture releasing as steam. The fire speaks constantly in this language, not words but music, a shifting, intimate, wholly present music that asks nothing of you except to listen. You sit back on your heels on the warm slate and listen. The fire grows. Its light fills the room with a dancing amber shadow-rich glow that moves constantly. Up the stone face of the fireplace, across the ceiling beams, over the glass walls where the reflections waver and shift. Beyond the glass, the night is very dark now, the pines invisible except where the firelight touches them, and the lake is a black mirror beyond that, holding the sky's darkness and its stars with perfect, still fidelity. You sit a little longer on the hearth, your knees drawn up, your back curved, watching the flames. The fire has a center now, a white-hot core where the logs have begun to char and glow, overlaid with a shimmering orange that collapses and rebuilds constantly, the way a wave falls apart and is immediately replaced by another, so that what you are seeing is always new and always the same. Your eyelids feel heavy. Good. You push yourself up from the hearth and move to the armchair. You pull the knitted blanket from its arm and wrap it around your shoulders and settle into the cushions, which give and hold you with the long-practiced ease of a good chair that has known many bodies and made peace with all of them. The fire is close enough that you can feel its heat on your face and forearms, far enough that it is comfort and not discomfort. You tuck your wool-socked feet up beneath you, and you watch the fire. This is all you have to do. Watch the fire. Listen to it speak in its small, bright, impermanent language. Let the warmth press against you from the front, while the cool dark of the night presses gently against the glass behind you. Feel the weight of the blanket on your shoulders, the softness of the cushion at your back, the slow, even rhythm of your own breathing. Inhale, the warmth of wood smoke and cedar. Exhale, slowly, all the way. The fire crackles, pops once sharply, a bright little exclamation, and then settles back into its murmur. A log shifts with a soft, deep thud, and a brief shower of sparks rises up the chimney like a school of tiny fish vanishing into dark water. You watch the sparks rise, watch them cool and vanish, and in the quiet that follows, you become aware of the sounds outside. They come through the glass very softly, like sounds heard through water. The crickets, still going, steady and patient, the frogs at the water's edge, the occasional rustle of something small in the underbrush, a chipmunk or a mouse, attending to its small nocturnal business. And beneath all of it, almost below the threshold of sound, the lake itself. Not sound exactly, but a presence. A vast, still, breathing presence at the edge of your awareness. Water, dark and deep and perfectly calm. Part 5. The Lake at Night. You unfold yourself from the armchair. You wrap the knitted blanket around your shoulders like a shawl, and you walk, soft-footed, to the glass wall that faces the lake. You stand there for a moment, your nose almost touching the glass, and you look out. The lake is extraordinary in the dark. In daylight, you imagine, it would be blue or gray or green, its surface textured with small chop, reflecting clouds and sky. But now, at this hour, with the last color long gone from the horizon and the moon not yet risen, The lake is pure black. Not the black of absence, but the black of depth, of containment, of something that holds within it more than it shows. It is the most serene thing you have ever seen. A dark oval of perfect stillness set among the darker shapes of the surrounding pines, and in it, caught and held as if someone pressed the sky flat against the water, and it simply stayed. Every visible star. You count them. You can't help it. 1, 2, 3. But of course there are too many. They multiply as you look. Each dark patch of sky you examine revealing more stars behind the first stars. Fainter and fainter, deeper and deeper, until you understand that the sky has no back to it, that what you are looking at goes on for a distance that no number could honestly describe. The Milky Way. It runs from left to right across the sky above the lake, or rather it sweeps, it arcs, it pours, a river of diffuse light made up of more individual stars than you could count in a lifetime. Billions of distant suns collapsed by distance into this luminous smear, this great arm of the galaxy you happen to live in, visible only on the darkest nights, in the darkest places, to people patient enough to stand still and look. You are one of those people, right now. You press your palm flat against the cold glass, feel the night pressing back from the other side. In the reflection you can see the fire behind you, small and warm and orange, and your own faint silhouette, and the lamp in its corner, and everything that is inside. And through that reflection, through you, through the warmth and light of the cabin, the lake and the stars, you feel the strange and beautiful simultaneity of it. The warm cabin at your back, the cold dark lake ahead, the fire reflected on the water below, the stars reflected in the glass above, inside and outside layered together, your own reflection ghosted across the Milky Way, part of this scene in a way that is humbling and comforting in equal measure. You breathe. A fish rises somewhere near the center of the lake. You can't see it, but you hear it. A small, soft, perfect sound. A single note of water disturbed and then settling back. Then silence. Then the crickets again. An owl calls from the pines to the left. Then again. Then again, 3 times, spaced perfectly. As regular as a metronome. Each call hanging in the cold air and slowly dissolving into the dark. You find yourself thinking about how the owl has been out there all this time. While you were driving, while you were settling in, while the fire was building itself up. The owl has been in its pine tree, and the lake has been lying here in the dark, and the stars have been doing what they always do, burning, turning, moving imperceptibly across the bowl of the sky in their ancient, untroubled arcs. And none of it required anything from you. None of it needed your attention, or your worry, or your effort. It was all just happening, the way it always does, in the background of every human life, the great quiet machinery of the world running on, without pause, without hurry, without concern. There is something profoundly restful in that thought. You are not responsible for the stars. You do not have to maintain the lake. The owl is entirely capable of managing his own night. The fire behind you will tend to itself for another hour at least. And you are free to do exactly nothing, to stand here at this glass wall and breathe and look and let the darkness and the stars and the water be exactly as they are. The blanket is warm around your shoulders. Your feet are warm in their socks. Your eyes are growing heavy. Part 6. Making tea. But first, the tea you thought about earlier. You move to the kitchen corner, still wrapped in your blanket, still warm from the fire and the watching. You fill the small kettle at the farmhouse sink. The water comes out cold and clean and runs over your fingers for a moment, so cold it's almost startling. And you hold your hand under it longer than you need to, because the cold feels clarifying, a small bright shock that makes the warmth you'll return to feel even more complete. You set the kettle on the stove, turn the burner to medium. The ring of blue flame appears with a soft pop and a whisper of gas, and you watch it for a moment, that perfect circle of fire, so controlled, so domestic, so different from the wild orange dance in the fireplace, and yet made of the same ancient, primal element. You choose the chamomile from the mason jar. The small sachet is soft between your fingers, the dried flowers inside shifting with a faint rustle as you hold it. There is something about chamomile at night that feels right in a way that goes beyond flavor. The smell of it alone, dry and golden and faintly appley, feels like sleep, like being 8 years old and sick with a cold and your mother bringing you something warm to drink. Like all the times in your life that someone gave you something to sip and said everything is fine and you believed them. You choose a mug from the shelf. The one that finds your hand is a wide, deep navy blue, the color of the sky above the lake right now, just a shade lighter than true black, full of depth. It is heavy in your hand, ceramic, warm to the touch from sitting on the shelf above the warm stove. You hold it for a moment in both hands, just holding it. The kettle begins to hiss softly. You wait. You are not in a hurry. There is no hurry. Time in this cabin runs at a different speed than it does in the rest of the world. More slowly, more kindly, each minute agreeing to contain everything that belongs in it and nothing more. The water hisses more loudly, the sound building slowly, the way a conversation builds, growing from a whisper to a murmur to something full and warm. Just before the full boil, while the water is hot enough to coax the chamomile open, but not so hot as to scorch it, you lift the kettle and pour. The water falls in a steady amber stream over the tea sachet, and the first waft of chamomile rises with the steam, warm and golden and gently sweet, filling the kitchen corner, reaching out across the room, touching your face with warmth as you lean slightly over the mug and breathe it in. You breathe it in deeply, and just for a moment, everything in you goes still. The smell of chamomile, the sound of the fire, the warmth in your hands from the mug, all the intricate machinery of worry and planning and remembering and anticipating that runs constantly in the back of your mind. It slows, it quiets, it becomes for this moment very small. You carry your mug back to the armchair by the fire. The fire has settled since you left it. Lower now, the kindling all gone, the logs glowing deep orange at their cores, the flames smaller and bluer at their edges, the whole thing settling into that long, patient middle stage of a fire's life, where it burns steadily and quietly and gives off a steady, generous heat, without any drama. You pull the blanket tighter and sink into the chair. Curl your feet beneath you. Hold the mug in both hands. It is almost too hot, but not quite. That perfect temperature where you can hold it, but feel the heat moving through your palms and up into your wrists and forearms. You don't drink it yet. You just hold it. Let the warmth soak in. After a while, you take a sip. The chamomile is mild and floral and slightly sweet. The temperature now perfect. Warm enough to feel like something, cool enough to drink slowly without rushing. You let it settle on your tongue for a moment. Swallow. Feel the warmth of it moving down through you, slow and even, like sunlight moving across a wall. You look into the fire. Outside, the owl calls again. Twice. The lake answers with silence. You take another sip. Part 7. The rain begins. You hear it before you feel it. A faint, tentative sound at first, so light you almost mistake it for the fire. A soft ticking against the glass. Irregular, widely spaced, like someone tapping their fingers on the window thinking. Then another. Then 2 at once. Then a dozen. Rain. You turn to look at the great glass wall. In the light from the fire, you can see the drops appearing on the outside of the glass, each one landing and spreading in a small, perfect starburst, running a few inches in a wavering line and stopping. Then another, and another. The pattern on the glass multiplying, overlapping, the night outside blurring softly behind the growing web of water drops. You set down your mug on the small table beside the chair and unfold yourself and walk to the glass wall again. The rain is picking up now. You can hear it better from here, closer to the glass, a steady, soft susurrus against the panes, the sound of thousands of small water bodies landing and merging and running. The pine trees outside are beginning to glisten where the fire's light catches them, their dark needles beaded with water. And the lake? The lake is transformed. Where moments ago it was a black mirror, perfectly still, holding the whole sky in its glassy face, it is now alive. A field of tiny, constantly renewing circles, each raindrop making its brief round impression in the surface before the water absorbs it, and another appears and another. The entire surface of the lake patterned with these ephemeral rings, overlapping and fading, so that what you are looking at is something like music, visual music, a constant soft percussion written in water on water, in the dark, under the no longer visible stars. You press your forehead against the glass. The glass is cold. The fire is warm at your back. You are exactly between 2 temperatures and 2 weathers, inside and outside, warm and cold, sheltered and in the middle of something vast and wild, and the feeling is extraordinary. Safe and small and held and awake to everything. The rain intensifies. It comes in waves now. You can hear it approaching across the lake before it arrives, a growing rush of sound that sweeps toward the cabin and then surrounds it and then moves on into the trees behind, each wave a little heavier than the last. The gutters at the edge of the roof porch begin to run, a thin, steady trickle that you can just make out at the corner of the porch overhang. You go back to the armchair. You pull the blanket all the way up to your chin. The fire is still going, a little lower, a little quieter, perfectly self-contained, and the rain on the glass walls creates a sound that is almost inside the room, so present and so enveloping that it becomes the room's own ambient hush, its white noise, its lullaby. The rain on the glass, the crackle of the fire, the occasional soft pop from the logs, the warmth of the blanket, the lingering warmth of chamomile still settled in your chest. Your eyes are very heavy now, but you don't want to move. The chair is perfect, the fire is perfect, the rain is perfect. You are warm and still, and the world is doing all this beautiful, unasked for, effortless, ancient thing, just outside the glass, and you are here in the middle of it, held by it, part of it, and there is nothing wrong and nothing missing and nothing needed. You let your eyes close, just for a moment. The rain continues its soft percussion on the glass. Part 8. Drifting. This is the part where the body takes over from the mind. Your mind has been so busy, hasn't it? All day, all week, all year, the constant churn of it, the running catalog of things to do and things undone, conversations had and conversations you're preparing for, worries small and large stacked in their invisible piles. Your mind has been working very hard. It deserves a rest. And right now, here, in this chair, in this cabin in the rain, you can feel it beginning to slow. Thoughts come, but they are slow now, like those last lazy bubbles in a pot of water coming off the boil, infrequent, gentle, dissolving quickly at the surface. A thought arrives. You notice it. And then, without effort, without having to push it away, it fades, like the raindrops on the glass, landing, spreading, absorbed, gone. Another thought, something from today, or tomorrow, or last week. It surfaces. You see it, and then the rain takes it, or the fire does, or the warmth of the blanket, or the heaviness behind your eyes, and it's simply not there anymore. And in its place, nothing. Warm, comfortable, dark behind your eyelids, nothing. Your breathing has slowed considerably. You notice this, the way each inhale takes just a little longer to arrive, the way each exhale extends itself naturally, a little further, a little more completely. You are not controlling this. Your body knows what to do. It has known since before you were born. It has been breathing you all this time, breathing you while you slept, while you drove, while you worried, while you laughed, while you read, while you stared at the ceiling at 2 a.m. It has never once forgotten. It will not forget tonight. Let it breathe you. Your hands resting loosely in your lap feel as though they might float away if they weren't attached. The chair holds you so completely that the boundary between your body and the chair has become somewhat theoretical. You are simply here, in this warm, supported place, and the specifics of where your body ends and the cushions begin seems less important than it once did. The fire pops once gently, and you feel it more than hear it. A small percussion felt in your sternum, warm and soft. The rain continues. It has found its rhythm now. A steady medium fall, not heavy enough to be dramatic, not light enough to make you listen carefully. It is simply constant. Like breathing, like a heartbeat, like the sound that was always there beneath everything else, waiting for the other sounds to quiet down enough to be heard. You are drifting. This is what drifting feels like. Not falling, not losing anything, just moving gently, imperceptibly from one state toward another, the way a small boat moves when the anchor rope is long and the current is gentle. Still connected, still here, but slowly, gently moving toward sleep. The edges of your thoughts have gone soft. Images come now instead of words, fragments of seen half-formed places, people without contexts, colors without names, a door you don't recognize, a field of grass blowing sideways in wind you can feel at your back, a flight of birds spreading across a pale sky. They mean nothing and everything simultaneously. the way the things at the edge of sleep always do, made of memory and imagination in proportions impossible to determine, assembled by some quiet process going on below the level of your awareness, gentle and creative and entirely its own. The fire, the rain, your breath. Part 9. Into the bed. There is a moment. You have been in the chair long enough that the fire has burned down considerably, the logs now deep red-orange coals, giving off a steady, generous glow with almost no visible flame. The warmth of them reaches you still, but your body knows, in some fundamental way, that it is time for the bed. You unfold yourself from the chair slowly. Carry the remnant warmth of the fire with you as you cross the 10 or so steps to the bed. The boards are warm underfoot, and the cabin is very quiet now. The rain has settled into its steady murmur, the fire into its near silent glow, and everything is low and soft and intimate. You pull back the quilt and slide in. The sheets are cool at first, cool cotton against your warm skin, a brief, delicious contrast that makes you catch your breath and then let it out in a long, unwinding sigh. The pillow receives your head. The quilt settles over you, and then, within moments, the sheets are warming from your own body heat, and you are cocooned in that perfect temperature that only exists when you are already in bed and already still, warm and cool in exact proportion, neither fighting the temperature nor surrendering to it, simply in agreement with it. Above you, through the glass panel in the ceiling, it is still raining. You can hear it on the glass above your head, a slightly different sound from the walls, higher pitched, more intimate, as if it is raining just for you, a private rain on the glass above your face. The drops land and run in tracks, and gather at the edges and drain somewhere. The glass is alive with water. You lie on your back and look up through the glass at the dark sky above, half obscured by rain and cloud. No stars visible now, the clouds have covered them, but somehow knowing they are there, hidden behind the rain and the cloud, still burning, still turning, still going about their ancient, untroubled business. Knowing they are there is enough. It is more than enough. It is everything. You roll to your side. The pillow reshapes itself around your cheek and jaw. Your knees drop slightly, not to the chest, just a gentle curl, the body finding its most comfortable geometry for sleep. Your hands find a place, one tucked beneath the pillow, one resting on the quilt above you. Your spine settles, vertebra by vertebra, into the yielding support of the mattress, and the tension in your lower back that you've been carrying all day slowly, slowly releases, like a clenched fist finally opening. The rain on the glass above you, the distant glow of the fire coals behind you, the dark, rain-soft night all around the cabin. You breathe in the cedar and sleep smell of the pillow. You breathe out. You breathe in, you breathe out. There is a particular quality to the darkness behind your closed eyes right now. It is not the restless dark of a night when sleep won't come, not the dark that has shapes in it, that has thoughts pressing against it from the inside. This is a rich, full velvet dark, the dark of deep water, of distance, of genuine rest approaching. You can feel it in the heaviness of your limbs, in the complete absence of urgency, in the way the sound of the rain is now more inside your head than outside it, as if the boundary between you and the cabin in the rain has begun to dissolve into something large and quiet and whole. Your body is still. Your mind is still. The world is rain and dark and warmth, and the old familiar rhythm of your heart, slow and steady, steady and slow, the metronome you were born with, keeping perfect time. Part 10. The Loon's Song. Sometime in the night, the rain softens. It does not stop. It simply becomes more gentle, more refined, a fine mist now rather than drops, so light it is barely distinguishable from the fog that has begun to rise off the warm surface of the lake, and drift in low, slow-moving curls through the trees. The night deepens. The cabin is very quiet. The fire coals have gone to ash and the faintest memory of warmth, and the cabin has cooled slightly, not uncomfortable, just the natural temperature of a sheltered, still space in the small hours of the night. And then, from across the water, a sound, the loon. If you have never heard a loon call across a dark lake at night, there is nothing I can say that will adequately prepare you for what it is. It is haunting and beautiful in proportions that seem impossible, melancholy without being sad, wild without being frightening, achingly present, and at the same time evoking every place you have ever loved and left. It is a sound that does something to the human chest, opens it, somehow, in a way that is more physical than emotional, as if the chest cavity itself responds to the frequency of a loon's call, the way a wine glass responds to a note held long enough and true. The loon calls from somewhere near the far shore. The sound travels perfectly across the still water. Water transmits sound with a fidelity that air rarely matches, and the lake is acting now as a kind of vast acoustic chamber, gathering the call and holding it and projecting it outward in every direction simultaneously. You hear it from inside the cabin, through the glass, through the fog and the mist and the soft rain, and it comes to you quieted but not diminished, the way something heard from the edge of sleep comes to you, quieted but not diminished. The loon calls again, a slightly different pattern this time, longer, with a quaver in it near the end, like a voice uncertain whether to be question or answer. Long, deep, complete. And then the loon's mate from somewhere closer, from somewhere along the near shore, almost directly behind the cabin, answers. The same call but lower, and with a different final note, so that the two calls together, echoing across the water, seem to form a sentence in some language far older than any human tongue. They call back and forth for a little while. You lie still in the dark and listen. You are not fully asleep and not fully awake. You are in the in-between, that liminal country between consciousness and dreaming, where the rules are different, and the world is both exactly itself and also something more. The loon's calls reach you there in the in-between, and they seem right. They seem natural. They seem like the sound the night is supposed to be making, the sound that was supposed to find you here in this glass cabin, on this dark lake, on this rainy night. The calls grow further apart, one from the far shore. A long silence. One from the near shore, slightly further than before. A longer silence. Then one more call from very far away, from the direction of the lake's opposite end. Barely audible, just a ghost of sound, a whisper of that extraordinary frequency. And then silence. The mist moves through the pines. The rain, even softer now, barely touches the glass. The lake breathes, you breathe. Part 11, deep into night. The night has its own geography, and you are far into it now. Far from the lit places, far from the hum of roads and the blue light of screens, and the relentless grinding busyness of a world that never quite stops. You are here, in the deep country of the night, in the glass cabin by the still dark lake, and the only light is the faintest glow from the ashen fire, and the gray-blue luminescence of the overcast sky through the glass overhead. And the sounds are rain breath, and mist breath, and the soft, slow drip of water from the pine boughs outside. Or close to it. The kind of sleep where you are still aware, very distantly, of the sounds around you. The way you know you're dreaming, while you're dreaming. Or the way you know you're about to wake up before you actually do. A thin, translucent layer of awareness stretched across the surface of a deep and genuine sleep. Let even that thin layer go now. You don't need to keep watch. The cabin will keep watch. The glass walls will hold the night at bay, not because the night is dangerous. It is not. It is kind and full of beautiful things. But because you need to be inside, in the warmth, in the still and sheltered space of this room, while the night does what the night does outside. The pine trees outside the glass are very still. In the space between rain gusts, the air is completely motionless, and the trees stand in their places with an absolute patient stillness that makes them seem less like trees and more like the presences they actually are. Living things that have stood in this spot for 100 years, rooted in this particular soil, drinking this particular water, breathing this particular air, knowing nothing and needing nothing of the human world and its concerns, asking only for light and water and the slow turning of the seasons. There is something in that is very comforting, if you let it be. The trees will be here long after this night is over. The lake will be here. The loons will come back in the morning. The stars, when the clouds clear, will be there, will always be there. The same stars that have hung above this lake for as long as the lake has existed. The same stars that people have lain on their backs and looked up at for as long as there have been people. The same stars above the glass cabin tonight as above the fields where your ancestors slept their ancient, unrecorded sleeps. You are part of a very long chain of sleeping. Every person who has ever lived has done this, has lain down, has closed their eyes, has given themselves over to the dark and the quiet, and the particular unconscious trust of sleep, has breathed and drifted and dreamed and returned. And in the morning, yours and all those countless mornings before, they woke to a world still there, still turning, still going about its ancient, patient, unhurried business. This is not a fragile world. You are not a fragile person. And the night is not something to survive. It is something to receive, like the quilt that settles over you, like the warmth of the chair, like the sound of rain on glass, something offered freely, something that asks only that you stop and be still and let it cover you. Let it cover you. Let the dark be dark. Let the rain be rain. Let the night be a gift. Part 12. The Slow Hours. The slow hours of deep night. 2, 3. The hour with no name that belongs to no one, when the whole world has gone quiet, and even the crickets have stopped, and the rain has reduced itself to the occasional tap on the glass, a random and thoughtful sound, like someone gently trying to remember a tune. The cabin holds its warmth well, good insulation, thick glass, solid timber frame, built by someone who understood what it means to be outside in the cold, and what it means to be inside, and wanted the inside to be genuinely inside, genuinely warm, genuinely sheltering. The quilt over you is heavy and real. You have sunk deeply into the mattress now, not in the sense of the mattress failing, but in the sense of your body having fully committed to rest, having laid down every vestige of preparedness and vigilance, and let the mattress support all of it, all your weight, every pound of you, everything you carry. The pillow, your cheek, the dark behind your closed eyes. Your breathing is very slow now, and very even. In, out, in, out. There is a long pause between the out and the next in, not an anxious pause, not a held breath, just the natural gap at the bottom of the breath cycle, the quiet moment of stillness before the body gently begins the next inhale. In that gap, everything is very still. Even time seems to pause for a beat. And then the breath comes, and with it a small deepening of comfort. And then it goes, and the gap comes again, and again that stillness. In, out, still. In, out, still. This is sleep's own rhythm. You are in it now. You are breathing it. The rhythm is breathing you. Outside, a single drop of water falls from a pine bough. You hear it land on the wooden porch railing below, a clean, clear, perfect note, like a tiny bell. Then silence again. The cabin breathes with you. The lake breathes with you. The night breathes with you. Everything is very still and very slow and very, very quiet. And in the quiet there is nothing missing, nothing lacking. Everything that is here is enough. Everything that is here is exactly right. The darkness is right. The rain silence is right. The warmth of the bed and the weight of the quilt and the slow, patient dark are all exactly, perfectly, completely right. You don't have to do anything now. You don't have to remember anything, or plan anything, or solve anything, or be anything. You don't have to perform, or produce, or show up, or keep going. You just have to be here in the dark, with your breathing and your warm body in this bed, in this cabin by this lake, in the middle of the night that belongs to no one and everyone. This quiet slice of time that asks nothing of you. Sleep has you now, or you have sleep, or perhaps the distinction doesn't matter. Part 13. Dawn approaching. Hours later, much later, when the deep well of the night has begun its slow and imperceptible brightening, when the sky above the lake has moved from absolute black through the darkest blue that is not quite black, through navy and midnight and a blue so deep and so saturated it seems itself like a kind of darkness, something in the cabin begins to change. The birds. First one, a single bird in the nearest pine tree. Not the loon, not the owl, but a small bird, a woodland bird, one of those small brown industrious birds that live in the undergrowth and the lower branches, and have been asleep all night tucked into their feathers, and are now, at this improbably early hour, awake and beginning the day's first conversation with whatever other bird might be within earshot. A single phrase, 5 notes, repeated 3 times with a pause between each. Then silence. Then, from further away, from the other side of the cabin, or perhaps from the trees along the shore, Another bird answers. Different voice, different phrase, but in the same key, as if they've been rehearsing this particular exchange for weeks, which in a sense they have. Birds learn their songs in the first weeks of their lives and sing them for as long as they live, the same patterns repeated daily with minimal variation, a kind of living memory impressed in muscle and nerve. The two birds converse in the last of the dark. Then a third voice from somewhere near the water, and a fourth, further away, and then, as if a signal has been given, as if the birds have been waiting for exactly this threshold of darkness, and agreed in some species-wide covenant to begin simultaneously when it is reached, the dawn chorus starts. But insistently, with a kind of gathering confidence that seems to be pulling the light along with it, each new voice adding to the general crescendo, the voices layering and interweaving, until the air outside the glass is full of an intricate, spontaneous, wholly unrepeatable music, the dawn chorus of a small lakeshore forest in the early morning, a sound so ancient and so ordinary and so extraordinary that it has been happening every single morning since there were birds to make it, regardless of whether any human was here to hear it. You are here to hear it. Through the glass, muffled and softened, the chorus reaches you in the warm cave of your sleep, not waking you exactly, but entering your sleep, becoming part of whatever is happening in the quiet theater of your dreaming mind. The birds are in your sleep now, weaving through it, their voices a loose bright thread in the fabric of whatever is being created there. The sky above the glass panel in the ceiling has gone from midnight blue to something that is almost, tentatively, the first word of gray. Not gray itself, but the suggestion of it, the promise of light not yet arrived, but on its way, the way the sound of rain reaches you before the rain does, the way you know something is coming before you can name what it is. Sleep holds you still. The birds sing. The sky begins its slow transformation. Part 14. The Morning Mist. Dawn comes to Cedar Lake the way all good things come, quietly, unhurried, without announcement. The sky goes from gray to pewter to silver. The shapes of the pine trees emerge from the darkness, first as suggestions, then as silhouettes, then, slowly, as three-dimensional presences, their bark visible, their metal clusters distinguishable, each tree becoming itself again as the light returns. The lake appears. It is not the lake you stood before last night, the black mirror, the starfield. This morning lake is something else entirely. The surface is blanketed in mist, a thick, low-lying fog that drifts in slow, unhurried undulations across the water, never still, never repeating the same shape twice. A living thing made of water so light it has forgotten it is water. In the places where the mist is thinnest, you can see the lake surface below it, now a pale gray-green, glassy and still, reflecting the pale sky above with a fidelity that makes the mist seem to float between two versions of the same world. The far shore has vanished entirely into the mist. There is no far shore. There is only the near water and the mist, and beyond the mist, nothing. A soft, featureless white that could be sky or water or forest or pure possibility. The world has been simplified by the morning fog to its essential elements: water, mist, the smell of pine and cold and green, the chorus of birds, and you, warm in your bed, watching it all through the glass. The porch outside is wet, the boards dark with rain and dew, the Adirondack chairs gleaming, the hurricane lantern's candle long since gone out, but the glass still there, beaded with water. Somewhere along the porch rail, a small spider has built an overnight web between two of the balusters, and the web is now completely jeweled with water droplets, each strand visible, each droplet catching the flat gray morning light and holding it, a tiny lens, a tiny mirror, the whole structure a marvel of geometry and patience and the very good fortune of a night with enough moisture. A great blue heron appears without warning from the mist, landing in the shallows at the lake's edge, not 30 feet from the porch, a prehistoric thing, impossibly tall and still, standing in the water with a patience so absolute it seems almost aggressive. Its head is tilted down, its long neck curved in a question mark, its sharp eye fixed on some point below the surface that you cannot see. It is the perfect embodiment of a quality, watchful stillness, that you are right now also embodying, lying in your warm bed watching through the glass, breathing slowly, perfectly still. Two kinds of morning stillness regarding each other through glass and mist. The heron stands for a very long time. Then, in a motion so fast, it registers as almost afterimage rather than event. The head darts down, the neck straightens, and the heron lifts its head and tilts it back and swallows, and resumes its question mark posture, perfectly still, as if nothing happened. The mist drifts, the birds sing, the sky brightens degree by degree, gray to silver to white, to the palest possible blue at the zenith, the first real blue of the day, appearing in a small window of clear sky above the far shore where the clouds have begun to thin. You are still warm, still held, still half asleep in the best possible way, awake enough to see the heron and the mist and the pale blue window of sky, asleep enough that none of it asks anything of you, that all of it can just be received, like a gift left outside the door overnight. Part 15. Morning Light. The sun does not rise dramatically at Cedar Lake. This is not a place for dramatic sunrises, for blazing orange and theatrical clouds and the sky erupting in color. This lake, in this forest, in this particular morning, offers something more modest and more beautiful. A gentle brightening, a slow and steady increase of light, as if someone in a far room is turning up a dimmer switch with careful, patient hands. The first direct sunlight reaches the cabin as a single thin blade that comes through a gap in the pines to the east, and falls across the floor in a long, narrow rectangle of pure gold. It moves slowly. You can watch it move if you're patient enough, the rectangle shifting almost imperceptibly as the sun climbs its low arc above the tree line. It crosses the floor. It touches the leg of the armchair. It climbs the seat cushion. And then, when it reaches the far glass wall, it catches the drops of last night's rain, still clinging there, and each drop becomes a prism, briefly, and tiny spectra appear on the cabin's interior walls, small, faint, fleeting rainbows that appear and vanish and appear again as the light shifts, a private light show visible only from inside, only from this angle, only at this hour. You watch the rainbows appear on the ceiling. The mist on the lake is burning off now, slowly, from the edges inward, as the sun's warmth reaches the water and encourages the fog to lift. You can see patches of lake surface now, where the mist has cleared, the water there a deep, vivid green-blue in the morning light, completely still, reflecting the brightening sky. A pair of mallards move through one of these clear patches, leaving two precise V-shaped wakes behind them, the wakes spreading slowly outward, and then being absorbed back into stillness. At some point, while you were watching the rainbows on the ceiling, it lifted soundlessly and vanished into the mist, back to whatever it came from, back to the morning and the water and the ancient business of being a heron. The dawn chorus has wound down to a few individuals now. A robin, somewhere very close, its familiar liquid phrases repeating in the maple by the porch. A white-throated sparrow in the far pines, its thin, clear whistle carrying perfectly across the water. The occasional percussion of a woodpecker, somewhere deeper in the forest, the steady, deliberate tap-tap-tap-tap of its work. A small, industrious sound that carries through the still morning air with perfect clarity. The cabin is full of morning light now, pale gold on the wooden floor, silver blue through the north-facing glass. The fire coals are cool gray ash. The armchair still holds the imprint of last night. The navy mug on the table by the chair still holds a small dark crescent of cold chamomile. You stretch, gently, arms overhead, feet pointed, the long, slow, involuntary stretch that the body performs when it has slept well and deeply, and now registers the return of the morning with a kind of whole-body exhalation of pleasure. Your spine lengthens, your shoulders open, your fingers spread wide, and then you relax, and you lie there in the pale gold morning, in the quilt, in the warmth, in the cabin by the lake, and you listen to the robin and the sparrow and the distant woodpecker and the small sound of water dripping from the porch roof into the puddles below, and you feel, and this is the word, the only accurate word, you feel restored. Part 16. A Morning Remembered. There are mornings like this in your past, aren't there? Not necessarily mornings in glass cabins by lakes, but mornings like this in quality. Mornings when you woke slowly and without alarm, when the day came to you gently rather than demanding its due, when there was time to lie still and listen, and let the light be what it was. Maybe a morning at your grandparents' house, when you were very young, the smell of coffee coming through the ceiling from the kitchen below, and the sound of familiar voices, and the particular quality of light through the curtains of a room that wasn't yours, but that you knew well enough to feel safe in, completely safe, in the way that only childhood and very good rest can produce together. Maybe a morning at the beginning of a long summer, when school had just ended and the whole season spread out ahead of you, unscheduled and warm and full of undefined possibility, and you lay in bed in the morning heat, with the fan turning slowly and the sound of a lawnmower somewhere in the neighborhood, the smell of cut grass coming through the window screen, and nothing needed from you for hours and hours and hours. Maybe a morning in a strange city, in a good hotel, when a conference or a trip had gone better than expected, and you woke early, and lay in the crisp hotel sheets, and watched the light come around the edge of the curtain, and thought about nothing in particular, just existing in the clean, unmade space of an early morning, far from home. These moments exist in you. They are stored in the body, not just the memory. The body remembers what it felt like to be completely at rest, to be without urgency, to be held and warm and present in a morning that belonged entirely to you. The body doesn't forget these things. It keeps them, the way cedar keeps its smell, the way water keeps the shape of the bank it moves along, the way the lake this morning keeps the perfect stillness of the night just past. Whatever morning from your own life comes to you right now, let it be here. Let it come and be present with you, in this bed, in this cabin, in the morning light. You have always known how to rest. You have always known how to be still. You have done it before, and you are doing it now, and you will do it again. This is not a new skill but an old one, as old as you are, as old as the body you inhabit, and the ancient, patient, unasked-for gift of sleep. Let the memories be soft. Let them come and go the way clouds move across the brightening sky outside the glass, present, beautiful, unremarkable, passing. You are here. You are warm. The morning is beginning its long, slow opening. And you have nowhere to be but here. Part 17, The World Still and Dreaming. This is the best part of the morning, before the first cup of coffee, before the phone, before the day makes its first demands. This sliver of time when you are awake enough to be aware, but unburdened by the full weight of consciousness, the in-between time, the threshold time, the time that belongs, fittingly, to no category at all. Your body is completely at ease, each part of it heavy and warm and purposeless in the best sense. The hands not holding anything, not preparing to hold anything, the feet not preparing to carry you anywhere. The whole elaborate architecture of muscle and bone and nerve that spends your waking hours moving and gripping and reacting, now still, just warm, just here. The robin outside is in the middle of something complicated and beautiful, a long, unbroken sequence of phrases, each one flowing into the next without apparent pause for breath, an improvised aria performed for an audience of one, or perhaps for no audience at all, perhaps simply because it is morning and the robin's body requires it, the song not aimed at anything, but rising into the clear air the way the mist rose from the lake, because that is what mornings ask of robins, and robins always comply. You listen to the robin. The light on the ceiling of the cabin shifts as clouds move across the sun outside, briefly shadowed, then bright again, then shadowed, each change bringing a slightly different quality of light to the room, a slightly different character of morning. In the shadows, the room is softer, the greens of the pines visible through the glass more saturated, the water on the lake darker. In the sun, everything is luminous, the glass walls alive with reflected light, the wooden floor burning gold, the white of the quilt so bright you could almost squint at it. A dragonfly appears at the glass. It hovers just outside, its wings a blur too fast for the eye to follow, its body an improbable blue-green, iridescent, entirely prehistoric in design, essentially unchanged since before the dinosaurs. It hangs in the air for a moment, facing you through the glass, its compound eyes seeing something you cannot guess at. Then it is gone, sidewise into the morning air without apparent transition, there and then not there, like so many things in these quiet hours. You watch the place where the dragonfly was. You could sleep again. You could let the robin's song and the shifting light and the warmth of the quilt and the particular perfect stillness of a morning after rain pull you back down into sleep as easily as someone pulling a curtain closed. Your body is willing. Your mind is willing. There is nothing holding you to wakefulness, no threat of urgency or obligation connecting you to the world that will later need you. It can wait. The world is patient this morning, just as you have been patient. Let your eyes close again. Let the robin song become part of the texture of your sleep, a bright thread, a living thing woven through the fabric of your rest, present and real and entirely harmless. Let the light shift. Let the clouds move. Let the lake glitter in the sun and go gray in the shadow and glitter again. You are here. You are held. Part 18. The Long Rest. There are places that hold peace. Places where the air itself seems to carry a quality that human beings have been searching for and occasionally finding, for as long as we have been the kind of beings who search for things. Cedar Lake is one of those places. There is something in the particular combination of water and forest and sky, of morning light on rain-wet wood, of the smell of pine and cold water and last night's fire, of the birdsong and the mist and the glass walls that make the outside inside without erasing the difference. There is something in this particular combination that does to the nervous system what it is trying to do to itself when you lie down to sleep. It quiets. It slows. It suggests, gently but persistently, that the speed at which you normally operate is not the only possible speed, that there is another gear, much lower, much slower, and that in that gear the world is still moving, still turning, still doing everything it needs to do, just at a pace you can actually feel. You have been running at speed. You have been running at speed for a long time. Not just today, not just this week, for a long time. The way you run at speed without point noticing, the way the baseline level of hum and hurry becomes the thing you call normal and measure everything else against. You have been doing that. We all do it. But right now, in this bed, in this cabin, on this morning, you are in the low gear. And the low gear is what the body was built for. The low gear is what sleep is. The body's insistence on returning to its proper speed, its own speed. The speed of breathing and heartbeat, and the slow cellular work of repair and renewal that happens in the dark, when the mind is quiet and the muscles are still, and the system is allowed to attend to itself. Your heartbeat right now is slow and steady and perfect. Your breathing is deep and even. Your muscles are warm and loose, as relaxed as they get, as thoroughly without tension as they can be. The weight of the quilt is exactly right. The light on the ceiling is exactly right. The robin's song, coming now in brief phrases with longer silences between, is exactly right. Everything in this moment is exactly right. That is not a small thing to say. In most moments of most days, something is off. Too loud, too bright, too cold, too busy, too late, too much. The perfect alignment of circumstances that constitutes a moment where everything is exactly right is rarer than we think, and we don't always notice it when it's here. But it is here right now, and you know it, and that knowledge is itself a form of rest, to say, yes, this is right, this is enough, I am here, and it is enough. The lake shines through the glass. The robin finishes his song, or pauses it, you can't know which. The light is full now, the sun well above the pines, the cabin lit from all directions with the clean, unsparing light of a morning after rain. And you sleep easily and completely and deeply, the way the very young sleep when they are warm and held and safe, the way the very old sleep when they have made their peace and are ready to rest, the way all of us sleep when we finally, for just a moment, for just a night, get out of our own way and let the body do what it has always known how to do. You sleep, closing until morning. I'll leave you here. In the cabin by the lake, in the warm bed, in the light, with the birds and the water and the trees and the good clean smell of a world freshly rained on, and now drying gently in the morning sun. You don't need me anymore. You know the way. You've always known the way. Down through the layers of the day, past the thoughts and the worries and the to-do lists and the replayed conversations and the unnamed anxieties, down through all of that, to the quiet place underneath, the place that has been there since before you learned to speak or walk or worry, the place your body finds every night and finds again tonight and will find again tomorrow night and all the nights after that, the place of rest. The cabin is warm, the quilt is heavy and soft. The light moves across the ceiling in its slow golden arc, and outside the glass, the lake does what the lake does, glitters, breathes, holds the sky in its wide still face, and the trees stand in their patient hundreds, and the birds do what birds do, and the world turns slowly and without urgency, as it has always turned. And you are here, small and warm and held and resting, part of all of it, part of the lake and the trees and the birds and the rain and the morning light. Not separate from it, never separate from it, though we sometimes forget. Part of the long, continuous breathing, turning, waking, sleeping thing that the world is. Let your breathing be slow. Let your body be heavy. Let the thoughts go where they go. Let the darkness behind your eyes be the darkness of the lake at night, deep and still, and full of stars you can't quite see but know are there, burning and quiet, going nowhere. Sleep well. You deserve this rest. You have always deserved this rest.